She-Hulk is one of the best creations since somebody put pineapple on a pizza.
Dude, this is pineapple.
Try before you deny.
In this video, we'll explore some of the key themes behind what makes it the best thing to come out of the MCU since the Avengers Endgame, and is a cinematic masterpiece like Cats. There are 7 main themes here, and by the end of it, you'll have a completely different outlook on She-Hulk, so stick with me. The first one, sorry, I threw up in my mouth there a little bit. Where was I? Oh yeah, She-Hulk's character, it's better than you. She's got this badass Mary Sue characteristic. Get it? Because it's a legal comedy. Mary Sue? Not Sue like Ronaldo. Sue as in legal term. You get it? Sue?
I'm trying to think.
Anyway, this gives her super lovable character traits like woman-splaining things.
Triggers are anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing.
Snide remarks.
Really? Oh, so you didn't wind up alone? Hiding away on some remote beach with no friends?
Always having the wittiest jokes.
I know you can't wait to see Wong. I get it.
Passive aggressiveness.
Fine. Teach me how to Hulk.
Nearly murdering men until the Hulk intervenes. Belittling family members' lifelong trauma to make yourself the victim, while he is being kind and caring and trying to help you. She deserves a slow clap for that one. And who would have known that the MCU actually stands for the Mary Sue universe? And the best thing about her character is that she's right about everything, and actually never wrong about herself or anything that goes around her. So the writers are in this incredibly fortunate place of not needing to develop her character at all. So everything she does is just the bee's knees, class dismissed, no learning needed here. So feminism is so 2005. This season's new version is woke feminism. It's kind of like feminism, but with more Hulk smash attached to it. And the victim is almost always men. Because with this new breed of feminism, you can't just make women look good without having to Hulk smash the men into the ground. But let's be honest, men are just generally a pile of crap. I mean, look at me. I have literal crap on my head. So yeah, of course, all the men in the show are going to be absolute trash. In fact, I took the time to identify all of these pieces of crap men in the show for you so you don't have to. So let's start from the beginning. The very first male character that we see in the show, well, let's see what he has to say.
Are not helpful here at all.
I feel like this is gonna land better coming from me. Look, we got
Oh snap, what a dickhead. Drunk guys outside a bar, yep, I know what's gonna happen. Luckily she almost Hulk smashes their tiny peepees. Oh look, it's the Hulk. Yep, he's a guy, what a total D-bag too, teaching her to try and control her emotions, mansplaining things to her. He's an old white boss, gotta be the devil, right? And he fires her for saving lives. Oh gosh, what a total dingleberry. Ah, her cousin, he's young, right? That's gotta be one of those totally douchebag university students. Other NPC white generic boss, yes, he's a twat too. Wants to use her because she's a She-Hulk. Gosh, can men just give her a break, please? Oh, by the way, so far this has only been an episode and a half. Let's speed run the rest of them. Hannibal Lecter, manipulator type of bad guy. Her dad's an incompetent old fool. Lots of male reviewers online. What a total crap heads. Get a life. Get a girlfriend too, obviously.
I love harassing women in the workplace. It's my kick.
This guy's an absolute dick. Evil Morgan Freeman. Sleazy character male magician guy, check. Oh, and look at this loser. Spends the whole date on his phone disinterested and then has the audacity to let her pay the bill. Jeez, when will women get a break here? Roid rage generic male. Artsy-fartsy self-absorbsy kind of male. Reddit 4chan moderator. Pediatrician oncologist. Oh wait, this guy might be...
I hate talking about myself. Tell me about you.
Would you have gone on the date if She-Hulk had instead presented as Jennifer Walters?
No, she's not really my type.
Should have guessed. When he's not dealing with children dying, he's choosing She-Hulk over Jen. What a total bellend. Jaden Smith is just Jaden Smith, enough said. He's another man slut weasel kind of guy. Oh, what's this? We meet a guy who seems quite modest, respectful to normal boundaries, and isn't pushy. Wrong, he steals her blood, takes inappropriate photos of her. Oh, another male, and he's got a disability.
Who's this asshole?
Okay, and so we get to the season finale. It's just easier to round up all of the neckbeards, incels, online trolls, and women haters into one room. And just like the cherry on the cake, in case you've missed some of these, and the final scene of the season is...
Now tell our viewers, who are you wearing to court today?
Okay.
Geez, what a douchebag media guy asking her what she's wearing. Don't you see, this is a serious lady boss who's fighting against the world full of pieces of crap men. She's been catcalled and second-guessed left, right, and center. Imagine if the Hulk, you know, a man Hulk with a dingling thing, had to go through half the shit she's had to go through. He wouldn't last a minute. The only decent man in the show is Daredevil, who shows up at the end, and Wong, who makes a few cameo appearances. So to summarize, every man she's met on the show who isn't a superhero is a total piece of shit. And then on the other hand, look at these absolutely incredible lovable women on this show. First off, look at these super helpful group of women right at the beginning who help her out. They're super nice, they pamper her up, give her clothes. Incidentally, they're hanging out at the same bar as those douchebag guys that attacked her. Who would have thought? Then there's her sassy paralegal gal, just in case the She-Hulk is ever feeling insecure. She's just pampering her with words of affirmation. She's there to tell her how wonderful her shit smells. Then there's bossy McKnickers in a twist gal whose face just says I eat men for breakfast and shit them out for dinner. Then there's Jen, my girl. She's just so witty, so smart, super career focused, amazing at her job, just amazing at everything really. Amazing at putting down people. She's so much of a biatch that Galadriel from Rings of Power has her poster on her wall. Near the end of the show, she even wins some shitty Attorney of the Year award for who freaking knows why. Because actually in the courtroom, she's actually been pretty trash so far. But guess what? Lots of women are winning it because, you know, they rule, obviously. And this is woke feminism, ladies and G. You can't really empower women until you've smashed down men to the ground. Because nothing says equality unless you've demonized, belittled the other side. Where every female character is flawless, witty, biatchy, and strong. I watched the first 2 episodes with my wife, and her main point was not only does this show demonize men, but it also reduces the women to crappy old school cliches. Like Instagram influencer generic model 301. Like her sidekick attitude gal who always has her back no matter what. Like biatchy McBoatface work gal who's just all about her career. Like Megan Baddy yada 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 twerk boss rapper girl. Which is going to age as well as milk on my beard on a sunny day.
Milk was a bad choice.
My wife actually stopped watching this after episode 2. I don't blame her. Now that's a smart move and a woman that's never wrong. She kind of made me put this in the script. So from the start, the main writer admitted, when we got into the writing room, inevitably things changed as you're developing the show. And one thing that we all realized very slowly was none of us are that adept at writing, you know, at rousing trial scenes. I think that sentence should have just stopped after writing, which is the equivalent of a pediatric cardiac surgeon saying to the parent before the operation, my team and I are not really adept at operating on children's hearts, but we're going to give it a good go and make some shit up along the way. Look, I've got this gig now, just let me get on with it, please. And oh boy, do the results show. The writing sucks a big bag of sweaty, hairy D's, and the character arcs are just like, Jen is this horrible human who through an accident becomes the She-Hulk, continues to be a terrible person and sulk about how tough it is now, when she can actually turn it on and off on demand, then realize it has perks and downsides, then is kind of like, yeah, this is kind of cool and beneficial to my life actually. By the final episode, there is no character development that actually needs to happen. There you go, Bob's your uncle, it's actually Steve, but whatever. I've summarized her character arc in 10 seconds. I've actually seen pieces of Turd have better character arcs than that. Then you have multiple different characters who are just floating around, no real obstacle for them, no great moment that they overcome anything, no great flaws that they try and work through. It's basically the Jen show, and she Hulk smashes through men, goes on dates and weddings. The episodes are like 30 minutes long, but the first 2 minutes are recaps, and the 5 minutes at the end is like the credit scenes. Realistically, you got 23 minutes to work with, but my god was the story slow-paced, uninteresting, and just plain stupid. Let's move on to the CGI. Not much needs to be said on it. The writers by the last episode have run out of money, and I guess in an attempted tongue-in-cheek moment, they try and say this through the show.
To Jennifer.
Why?
You are very expensive, but wait until the camera is off you. The visual effects team has moved on to another project.
Look at this interview where the lead writer's literally like, but also I had no clue how much CG costs. I just knew CG was expensive. From the beginning, I asked Kevin, how cost conscious should I be? Give me some guidelines. And he said, if I want to go watch a show called She-Hulk, I want to see She-Hulk. So basically, these guys just gave me free rein to write how I wanted, but absolutely zero direction and thought around the budget. I didn't think it would be important at all to get any more information from anybody else. I was told, can you cut more She-Hulk scenes? Can you change more She-Hulk scenes to Jen? Can she be Jen for some scene? There was a lot of things that then had to be changed at the last minute. Turns out having a 6-foot CGI character in every single scene may be a little bit expensive and implausible. Oh gee, who would have thought that? The CGI makes Hulk and She-Hulk look closer to Shrek and Fiona than anything Marvel has ever done. It's like these guys went to a Vietnamese sweatshop and said, hey kids, stop making phones and Primark clothes. Take these 1990s looking PCs and I want you to make CGI for the She-Hulk in 2 weeks.
I'd actually like to take...
Some of the talking scenes don't have the lips in sync, it feels horribly rushed, it's piss poor quality. Some parts are so jarring it completely takes you out of the scene. The problem is Marvel is now the equivalent of a YouTuber who used to make decent quality content but is now dishing out 5 videos a week because, you know, the money. So invariably now it's a stream of piss poor and shitty quality prank videos and challenge videos. There is this scene where Jen is chilling with some superhero dudes, and I have convinced myself that for this porcupine looking dude, I feel like the budget guy just shrugged and just said, we've run out of CG for this guy, just like throw some hay on him, put some spikes from a DIY shop, and that's it, where we just go fly with that. And there you go, that's a Marvel show for you. Genius. Breaking the fourth wall and boundaries. So look, She-Hulk was the first Marvel comic to break down the fourth wall, basically talking to us, the audience, directly. Movies like Deadpool and shows like Fleabag demonstrate how it can be done so well. In this She-Hulk show, it just doesn't work. It feels off. Something ain't right about it. And it's not just her weird eye wing thing. I don't really know what's going on there. It's used so infrequently and often as a gimmick that at times when used, rather than being something funny or witty, it just completely catches you off guard, like a family member walking into your room while your pants are down and your browser tab is incognito. It feels forced or jarring. Rather than adding comedic value, it just becomes self-aware bullshit like, look at us, oh, we know this show's gonna cause a shitstorm, ha ha ha, isn't that funny? I feel like it's done in an almost self-aware, insecure way, like, hey, look, we know this is going to be shit, or that you're gonna hate this part of the show, so just in case anyone thinks that, we told you so, because look, we're so self-aware, ha. And now that we've told you so, you couldn't possibly feel the need to point this out. Oh, no, no, a shit show and shit writing isn't changed by some bullshit self-aware fourth wall breaks. That is not gonna rescue the terrible writing that you've already presented. The cringe, where do we start on this one? Here at this point, I don't even want my words to cloud your judgment. I present to you the cringe. Do what you like with it. My God, if you survive on the other side of this, and tell you why the season finale was worse than me punching my own nutsack.
Oh, and when are we getting the X-Men?
I cannot.
You'd think that to get this gig as the main writer, you needed to have some substantial work behind you. I think the main reason she got this gig is that in 2017, she was a story editor for 6 episodes of The Rick and Morty Show. But I've been having a look at the rest of her work, where most of her time was actually spent writing some crappy children's TV show, The Mighty Bee. With humor like this.
Good idea alert. Oh, I'm dying because my idea is so good.
Then she reached the dizzy heights of The High Fructose Adventures of Annoying Orange. Even just saying the name makes me almost vomit in my own mouth.
Bruce Banner! Bruce! And it looks like you're a little green yourself.
It's a good one.
And it's no surprise that the shit show of She-Hulk followed this crap. All she's basically written is annoying, young, crappy characters. At times I even feel the Hulk is embarrassed to be a part of this mess. It's kind of just like, bro, they just paid me too much for this shit. I have to do this. I'm feeding my kids at this point. And the season finale. And it's one of the worst things I've done in a long time. Episode 1 is bad. Then you have some meh episodes. Even then, there's a part of you where you think at some point, maybe, just maybe, some decent writing, story, character development may come in. But instead, we get this scene in the final episodes where, obviously, spoiler ahead, they're in some 4chan meeting and this happens. Pretty much every character jumps into this barn. Then the writers are like, shit, I have no idea how to tie all of this together. So they call up J.J. Abrams. He said, make it dream or make them all dead or something. And they thought, we can't really do that. Why don't we have a scene where She-Hulk breaks out of the show and visits the writers? That way our egos can be tickled a little bit and we can appear on the show whilst also showing how self-aware we are. Oh yeah, and let's make this a 10-minute scene near the end of the season finale, where she goes and talks to the writers and then has a heart-to-heart with Kevin, the AI that gets the final say on the storylines. Oh, and of course this isn't a dig at Kevin, you know, the guy behind the success of the MCU since 2007. And of course She-Hulk can go and piss on all of the other films and how formulaic it is, and that she wants her story to be unique because, you know, she's a girl boss. And by the end of it, there's no real main resolution apart from, yeah, cool, you can write your story, She-Hulk. She then jumps back into her show and the bad guys are being arrested and it's all hunky-dory. I have never in my life seen such a shit show covered up as a daring deviation of the norm, so daring it moves into the realm of cat vomit. I have absolutely no words to describe this level of self-aware, attempted meta-humor that tries to pass itself off as daring or doing things that would never be done before. And just because it's got tags of female or empowerment, it doesn't make this passable. This is utter dog turd on your shoe. The kind of dog turd whose stench follows you for days after you've watched it, even after you've left your shoes outside and washed them. The odor of this toxic writing wafts continuously over you. In conclusion, She-Hulk was dubbed the light-hearted sitcom about workplace politics, dating apps, and modern women working in law and balancing being a superhero. A premise that could actually allow so much room for connection with the audience and other things in the MCU. Instead, what I feel has happened is that there's a writing team that have allowed their views on men and society seep through into their writing, where every male character that we meet who's not a superhero is a piece of crap. It's really worrying to see some of the interactions in the show. I know I'm not the target audience of the show, but it's worrying to see some of these themes and scenes play out and the message that they're trying to send across to younger audiences. Now let's go back to this iconic scene.
Thing, Bruce, I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or might just literally get murdered. I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
In which universe is it okay to belittle or downplay the trauma of someone, whether it's guy or girl, who has gone through so much? From being experimented on as a child to being hunted down by the government, fought decade-long battle with himself to control the monster, at times felt he lost the battle and tried to end his own life, only for the monster within to stop him. Time and time again having to save the world, losing loved ones, losing his life. To have that backstory and then simply be told you don't know how bad I have it. Because of what? Men second-guessing you at work? You get catcalled? I'm not denying those things are bad things and shouldn't happen to women, but are we really going to sit there and think that that's a fair comparison? I think this kind of writing isn't just bad. I think it's toxic. It downplays a huge issue that I think is underrepresented in TV and society, and that is men's mental health. Males make up 49% of the population, but nearly 80% of suicides. Banner likely has several mental health problems, including PTSD from his life experiences. Clearly that's not important to the show. Instead of using that platform to make positive discussions on these themes, these writers have marginalized that, belittled it, downplayed it, all to push a narrative of a modern, empowered woman, which would be fine if it wasn't so toxic and damaging to everything around it. The pseudo-self-aware aspects, the meta-references of online trolls, for me, is not done for comedic effect. Because let's be honest, in a show about comedy and lore, there was very little of either of them. The online trolls becoming the main villain and the focus of the show is a very conscious effort that paints the creators and the writers as the victims. They're aware of the shitstorm the show will cause, but by gaslighting the audience and feeding this narrative of evil online male trolls, it allows them to quietly seep in their own toxic writing to build a hugely toxic narrative around men. Instead of creating a TV show that are about strong characters who stand up for themselves, who develop as the show goes on, who happen to be women, we have women who are right all the time, career-driven, powerful, strong, but it's their gender which is first, and who they are is actually second, and this is constantly rubbed in your face at every turn in the show.
Twice the work, half the recognition, and you're constantly being asked what it's like being a female lawyer.
Kevin?
Were you expecting a man?
Yeah.
In which universe does it seem like they're moving towards this Neanderthal tagline of, look, woman good, man bad? Because apparently if you're not a woman that acts like this, then you ain't shit. There's very little other representation of different types of women in the show, which in itself is kind of ridiculous that female characters are just a cardboard cutout and copy-pasted throughout the show. A show that is supposed to be representative of women, by women, for women. I didn't think I was going to watch anything worse than Rings of Power, where I thought the writing was incompetent and half-baked. I was absolutely wrong. I've watched something far worse here. The writing is pure toxic trash. It's a masterpiece of shit. In which universe is this level of toxicity acceptable? Well, welcome to the Mary Sue universe the MCU has become. And if you enjoyed this, then click on the next playlist, which will be my reviews of the pure shithousery that is the Rings of Power. Trust me, that's also bad. Which of these shows do you think is worse though, Rings of Power or She-Hulk? I'll see you in the comments. Thank you for watching. Peace.